For those of you not familiar, Shadow was a game, or is, excuse me, because their site is still up. So Shadow Tech still exists, but small problem, they have apparently declared bankruptcy. So they're not a regular sponsor of the show, but we have worked with them a couple of times. Really cool service. Luke, did you ever try it, or was this
No,
post Luke days? So
that was post me.
most game streaming services, the way that they work is you're logging into some kind of like obfuscated service portal. Okay, so you've got like a game library, kind of Steam Big Picture style, and you kind of pick the game, and it all the magic kind of happens behind the scenes and it loads up. What makes Shadow different is that you just remote into a gaming computer, essentially. So their servers are just, if I recall correctly, they're just these 2U or 1U blades. And then they've got like a 16 core or so CPU, and they slice it up so that you basically get a dedicated GPU in each one of the virtual machines, and it's just passed through. And then you've got like four CPUs, 4 cores worth of CPU, and they've got a bunch of different tiers. But the trick is that with a Shadow Blade, like a Shadow game streaming server, you are not actually sharing any of the hardware. So it's kind of impossible for the service to be overloaded with other users because your hardware is not shared. Now, it could be possible for the service to have too many people logged in because you wouldn't necessarily be remoting into exactly the same Shadow every single time. So all the storage is done in a completely separate rack, and it just like grabs your virtual disk and boots it up on whatever hardware happens to be available at the hardware tier that you specified. So theoretically, it's possible that they could have too many people logged in at once. But from my understanding, talking to them, it's not really an issue. And I would apparently be surprised at what a small percentage of people who use a subscription service like this want to all log in at the same time. So I was like, okay, fair enough. So yeah, what's cool is that you install whatever games you want. There's no such thing. Like, have you been following how NVIDIA had issues, particularly at the beginning, getting game developers to allow their games on GeForce
Yeah.
Now? Well, with Shadow, there's no way that any game developer could even know that you are running a Shadow box because you are running on hardware. You are just using the same kind of technology as Valve in-home streaming, or excuse me, Steam in-home streaming from Valve, or what's NVIDIA's one called again? The one that they introduced with the Shield. I can't keep track of it anymore because there's like GeForce Now and there's GeForce, I don't know, something or other. Anyway, the point is it's using the same hardware video encoding on the remote machine to send the video signal over the internet, and then you send your input devices over your internet connection, and you're basically just looking at a video stream of the gaming rig. So they'd have no way of knowing that you're in like a cloud gaming kind of use case here. Anyway, they filed for bankruptcy on March 2nd in France and the following
So,
day in California.
sort of.
Sort of.
Blade, the firm behind the cloud computing platform Shadow, has filed for bankruptcy. Shadow themselves are wanting to reorganize to free themselves up from the debt that is holding them back, and they plan to transition forward. So I don't suspect that Shadow, the service, is actually necessarily going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to look into this while you were talking, and I noticed that on their Twitter, 10 hours ago or 11 hours ago now, they have like a live stream talking about new stuff that's coming and new tech and whatnot. I'm like, that's pretty weird for a bankrupt company. So I started looking into it, and yeah, I guess they intend to continue operating, just maybe in a different form.
Yeah, it could be a little challenging. So
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce this. 2CRSI? I don't know. So these guys are the server provider that is claiming back money that is owed by Blade. And what they're saying is that they have the right to take 30.2 million euros worth of hardware from Blade. Now, I would imagine that as much as ShadowTech's technology is really cool, like it works shockingly well, even though I was outside of the formal catchment area for it because I'm up in Canada. So their technology works great, but if Blade, who is backing them, is now filing for bankruptcy and they have server providers trying to take back their hardware, 2CRI noted that with the shortage of electronic components, and more specifically graphics cards, there has been interest to buy the hardware.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so if I'm a creditor, I want this resolved fast so that because Shadow's running really high-end graphics cards in these setups because that's what you're paying for. Like if we go to Shadow.tech here, you can get gaming machines with here, hold on a second. Let's yeah, GeForce GTX 1080 or equivalent. From my understanding, it actually never includes a GTX 1080 because they actually run Quadros for better virtualization support.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it really is equivalent. And then 4 cores, 8 threads, 12 gigs RAM. Yeah, and then you can get a Titan RTX or equivalent, which would probably be a Quadro of some sort, or GeForce RTX 2080 or equivalent. So they actually have like freaking tons of these graphics cards deployed, some of which are probably worth as much as the entire server they're sitting in. With the whole shortage and mining craze and everything that's going on right now. And from what we've learned in the last little bit, Alex worked on a really great video this week and last week investigating what the heck is going on with the current silicon shortage worldwide. As far as we can tell, spoiler alert, this is not going to get better for GPUs for like a year. Like another year. So it's gonna be freaking rough. Shadow wants to reorganize to free themselves from the debt that's holding them back in the transition period. They will continue to develop their technology and provide the best service to their customers, who are the key to long-term success. And yeah, I think this is going to be a challenging time for them. But if they make it the transition to being, say, for example, a technology solutions provider, and then let other companies come in and be the actual hardware backbone for it, or whatever this looks like, I think there's got to be a path to success for Shadow. We've enjoyed working with them. We think they're really smart people, and we wish them nothing but the best, but it's definitely going to be a trying time.
Be a rough road.